Chosen one, I need you to take a deep breath right now. And as you do, scan your body. Feel the weight pressing down on your chest. It's heavy, isn't it? It's invisible, yet undeniably real. That feeling of spiritual fatigue is not something easily explained away, and it's certainly not a sign of weakness. It's the weight of months, maybe even years, of relentless battles you fought in silence. You've been running on autopilot for so long, helping everyone around you, keeping the smile on your face, showing up when you needed to. But when the day comes to an end, when you're alone, whether it's staring at the wall in your room or sitting silently in your car, your soul feels like it's running on fumes. You're exhausted, drained, and the burden feels unbearable. But I want you to understand something. This exhaustion is not depression. It's something far deeper. It is the battle fatigue of a warrior who has just survived a divine examination. A test that breaks most people, but not you. You're still here. You've made it through. And now, it's time to acknowledge what you've gone through and how far you've come. I know you felt as if God has been silent. It's like the deafening silence from heaven has made you feel abandoned, like you've been forgotten. But here's the truth. You weren't forgotten. You've been in the process of testing, a testing that purifies your spirit and prepares you for something so much greater. You see, in any test, the teacher is always silent. That's a spiritual law. When you're going through a trial, especially one as deep and intense as the one you've been enduring, God doesn't need to speak. The silence is intentional. It's designed to strengthen you, to refine you, to get you ready for what's next. It may have seemed like you were left in the dark, but in reality, you were being forged in the fire of divine preparation. And now, it's time for you to see the results of this test. You've just passed it. The Holy Spirit orchestrated this exact moment for you to hear these words, to finally realize that your test wasn't meant to break you, but to strengthen and elevate you to your higher purpose. This test was no ordinary trial. It wasn't just about testing your faithfulness to God, although that was part of it. It was about something much more profound. You weren't just being tested on how well you could handle hardship, or whether you could keep walking with faith when everything seemed to crumble around you. No, this test was more dangerous, more spiritual in nature. It was a test of your ability to endure the feeling of being completely forgotten. Can you imagine what that's like? Think about it. You've been through it already. When you were in your darkest moments, when you were struggling and suffering, did you notice how silent the world became around you? Did you notice how the people you used to lean on, the people you rescued and helped, suddenly became absent when you needed them most? In those moments, did you wonder why God wasn't sending someone to help you? Or why your cries seemed to echo unanswered? It was during those times that your true test was happening. It was in those quiet moments of isolation that God was asking, can you keep walking in your purpose when no one is clapping for you? Can you still hold the light when the world treats you like you don't even exist? And you did it. You kept moving forward. You kept praying. Even when you were on the verge of breaking, you held your faith together. You stood tall, even when no one saw you standing. This is the invisible test that most people fail. It's the test of endurance when no one else is watching, when no one else is there to cheer you on. It's about continuing on your journey with God, even when there's no applause, no recognition, and no acknowledgement of your pain. It's the test that proves whether you are ready to carry the weight of the blessings that are coming your way. And let me tell you something, you've passed this test. You have proven to God that you don't need the applause of men to do His will, that you can hold the light in the darkest places, in the silence, when everything else is against you. You are ready for the next step. This test, this divine examination, was never meant to break you. It was meant to elevate you, to prepare you for what's to come. The silence is over now. The waiting is over. You are about to see the manifestation of everything you've prayed for, worked for, and persevered through. So, stay with me, because in just a few moments, you're going to hear exactly why you went through what you did, and what God has planned next. The feeling of being forgotten, abandoned, and overlooked is one of the most painful emotions a chosen one can experience. It's a silent struggle that often goes unnoticed by the world, but it is deeply felt in the heart. You've given your best, time and time again, faithfully fulfilling your purpose and walking in the path that God has set before you. You've persevered through the trials, the setbacks, the seasons of emptiness. And yet, it feels like no one sees you. The people who once relied on you have moved on, leaving you standing alone in the quiet spaces. The relationships that once held promise have either faded or dissolved, and the recognition you thought you'd receive has never come. This is the invisibility test, a test that many chosen ones face, but few truly understand. When you're in the midst of it, it feels like your efforts are going unnoticed, your sacrifices are unappreciated, and your contributions are undervalued. It's as if you're running in place, doing everything right, but nothing seems to change. And the hardest part is that you have no one around you who truly understands the weight you carry. You're alone, standing in a world that is too busy, too distracted, or too indifferent to acknowledge the depth of your journey. You may have found yourself questioning why this is happening. Why does it feel like the world has forgotten you? Why does it feel like the applause has stopped, the calls have ceased, and the opportunities have vanished? You may have been the one who always showed up for others, the one who lent a hand, offered a listening ear, and gave when it seemed like you had nothing left to give. But when it was your turn, when you needed others the most, where were they? Why did they turn away? Why did they leave you to fight your battles alone? The emotional isolation can be unbearable. You find yourself retreating to places where no one sees your tears, where no one hears the questions that echo in your soul. And yet, through all of this, you kept going. You kept pushing forward, even when it felt like no one was watching. You kept walking in faith, trusting that God had not forgotten you, even though the world seemed to have. This is the true nature of the invisibility test. It's not just about the absence of recognition or the lack of external support. It's about how you respond when you are seen by no one but God. It's a test of endurance, a test that asks, can you continue to walk in your purpose when no one else notices? Can you keep shining your light when the world has turned off the spotlight? This is the moment when your faith is tested in the deepest way. God's silence during a test can be one of the hardest aspects to understand, but it is part of His divine plan. Just like a teacher who remains silent during a test, God's silence is not a sign of neglect. It is a form of preparation. When a student is taking an exam, the teacher steps back and allows the student to navigate the questions alone, trusting that they have been prepared for the challenge. In the same way, when you're walking through your invisibility test, God is silent, not because He has forgotten you, but because He is trusting you. He is trusting that you have been prepared to endure this season of silence and that you will rise above it. It is in these moments of quiet, when it feels like the heavens are closed, that your spirit is being shaped, refined, and strengthened for what is to come. The silence isn't meant to break you. It's meant to teach you to rely on Him even when you can't hear His voice. It's during this test that you learn the invaluable lesson of trusting not in what you can see or hear, but in what you know deep within your spirit. God is not absent in your pain. He is present in a way that is preparing you for the greater work ahead. The key test you're facing is one of endurance. Can you keep walking in your calling when the world offers you no applause? Can you remain faithful to your purpose when there is no recognition, no validation, and no external sign that your efforts are bearing fruit? This is the true test of your character. It's not about how well you perform when the lights are shining on you or when everyone is watching. It's about what you do when the lights are off, when the crowd has dispersed, and when you're standing alone, questioning whether the work is worth it. The endurance test is about continuing forward when it seems like nothing is changing. It's about doing the right thing even when no one is there to witness it. And most importantly, it's about believing in your purpose, even when the world seems to ignore it. This test isn't easy, and it doesn't come with instant rewards. It requires patience, perseverance, and a deep trust in the process that God is working within you. You may not see the results of your labor right now, but the truth is, your faithfulness is being recorded in the spiritual realm. Your actions are being noted, your sacrifice is being honored, and your calling is being prepared for a greater reveal. As you move through this test, the question you must ask yourself is, can you keep walking in your calling without needing the validation of others? Can you still shine your light when no one is watching? This is the true measure of your strength. Can you trust that your value is not determined by the applause of the crowd, but by the affirmation of God? When you pass this test, you move beyond the need for external validation. You learn that your worth is not defined by the recognition of men, but by the calling God has placed on your life. When you can walk in your purpose without seeking the approval of others, you are ready for the weightier assignment that God has for you. This is where true spiritual growth occurs. It's in the silence, in the invisibility, in the moments when no one sees you, that you are being prepared for the greater things ahead. The outcome of passing this test is monumental. It's not about how many people recognize you, but about how deeply you understand your own worth and calling. Passing this test means moving forward with purpose, even when no one else acknowledges your journey. It means staying committed to your calling, no matter the circumstances, and trusting that God is working behind the scenes. When you walk through the invisibility test and come out on the other side, you will emerge with a deeper understanding of who you are and what you're called to do. You will no longer be swayed by the opinions of others or the need for validation. Instead, you will be fully aligned with your divine purpose, ready to carry the weight of the blessings and assignments that God has in store for you. This is the outcome of passing the invisibility test. You step into a new level of spiritual maturity, one that is unshakable, unmovable, and fully grounded in the truth of who you are in God. As we dive deeper into the divine process, I want you to understand something crucial about the journey you've been on. The trials you've endured were never random. They weren't just setbacks or unfortunate circumstances. They were part of a spiritual refining process, one that has been intentionally designed by God to shape you into the person you are becoming. This is the furnace of refinement, a concept that is deeply rooted in Scripture, particularly in the book of James. In James 1:12, it says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." This verse speaks to a deeper truth. one that goes beyond mere perseverance. It speaks of the refinement that happens when you endure, when you walk through the fire, and when you emerge stronger than before. The word dokimon in the original Greek is used in the Bible to describe this exact process. Dokimon doesn't just mean a test. It refers to the process of taking raw gold and placing it in a blazing furnace, where the heat is turned up until the metal melts, allowing the impurities to rise to the surface so they can be removed. This is the spiritual process you've been walking through, the furnace of refinement. Like gold in the fire, your spirit has been subjected to intense heat, not to destroy you, but to purify you. Every painful moment, every hardship, every trial you've faced has been part of this divine purification. The fire wasn't sent to break you. It was sent to remove the impurities and prepare you for something greater. The significance of this refining process cannot be overstated. The Bible speaks of how gold is purified in the fire, but what does this process mean for you spiritually? The impurities in gold represent the negative thoughts, unhealthy attachments, and all the things in your heart and life that hinder you from walking fully in God's calling. As you faced trial after trial, your spirit has been tested, not for destruction, but for purification. Every difficulty you've endured, whether it was betrayal, financial loss, or personal pain, has served to remove a layer of impurity from your soul. The process hasn't been easy. In fact, it's been incredibly painful. You've walked through seasons where everything seemed to fall apart, where it felt like your life was being torn down, piece by piece. You may have even wondered if God had forgotten you, or if the weight of the struggle would ever end. But this refining fire is exactly what is necessary for the next phase of your divine calling. Without the purification, you wouldn't be able to carry the weight of the blessings that are coming your way. Without the heat, you wouldn't be able to handle the anointing that God is about to place on your life. God is preparing you for a greater purpose, and that purpose requires a vessel that is free from the impurities that would otherwise hinder your growth. It's important to acknowledge the intensity of the process you've been through. The heat has been fierce. It has felt unbearable at times. But it's in these moments of intense purification that the deepest growth occurs. The pain you've felt, the exhaustion that has weighed on your soul, the moments when you've questioned everything. These are not signs of weakness. They are proof of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to endure. You may have felt like you were at your breaking point, but the truth is, you were never meant to break. You were meant to be refined. You were meant to become more than you could ever imagine. The intense heat you've experienced has burned away the things that were holding you back, leaving only what is pure, what is true, and what is essential for your divine purpose. This purification is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about emerging from the fire stronger, purer, and more capable of stepping into the fullness of your calling. But let's go deeper into what this test is really about. It's not just about your faithfulness to God, although that's certainly a part of it. It's about a much deeper test, one that goes beyond just surviving the heat. The real test is in enduring the invisibility test. You've been faithful. You've kept your trust in God, and you've walked through every trial with perseverance. But when you were in the furnace, when you were facing the heat of purification, did you notice something? Did you notice how, in the midst of your struggle, the world seemed to look right past you? Did you notice how your pain went unnoticed, your efforts unacknowledged, and your sacrifices unappreciated? That is the true test. That is the heart of the invisibility test. This test goes beyond faithfulness. It tests your ability to endure when no one sees your worth, when no one acknowledges your pain, and when everything feels unfair. The deeper question you must ask yourself is this: can you remain steadfast in your purpose when you're ignored, when no one acknowledges your pain, and when everything seems to be falling apart? Can you keep moving forward in the calling God has placed on your life, even when the world treats you like you're invisible? This is where true spiritual maturity is forged. This is where your endurance is tested. It's easy to walk in your purpose when the world cheers you on. It's easy to remain faithful when people are acknowledging your efforts and recognizing your sacrifices. But the real test of your character comes when you continue forward, even when no one notices, even when no one understands, and even when it feels like you're invisible. Can you still walk in your purpose when no one is there to validate you? This is the ultimate test of your faithfulness. It's not just about what you do when people are watching. It's about what you do when you're completely unseen, completely ignored, and completely alone. The world may not see your worth, but God sees it, and that is all that matters. Passing this test is a monumental achievement. It means that you can walk in your purpose with or without the applause. You can continue forward, trusting in God's plan, regardless of what the world says or does. You've learned to trust in the internal validation that comes from God alone, and that is the most powerful validation you can receive. This test is about proving that you don't need the approval of others to fulfill God's calling on your life. You can move forward in faith, knowing that God sees you, God knows you, and God is preparing you for the greater things ahead. When you pass this test, you enter into a new level of spiritual maturity, one where your purpose is no longer tied to external validation, but to God's eternal purpose for your life. You become unstoppable because your worth is no longer dependent on what others think, but on who you are in God. As you look back on this season, you may realize that it wasn't just the pain that refined you, but the fact that you were able to endure the pain in silence. You didn't need anyone to recognize your struggle. You didn't need anyone to give you credit. You kept moving forward because you knew that God was watching, and that was enough. This is the power of the furnace of refinement. It's not about what happens on the outside. It's about what happens on the inside. The trials, the silence, the lack of recognition, they have all served to refine your spirit, to purify your heart, and to prepare you for the incredible destiny that awaits you. As you navigate through the trials of life, one of the most insidious challenges you face is the way your mind and body respond to prolonged emotional and spiritual struggle. The weight of hardship, whether it's betrayal, loss, or simply enduring through countless storms, has a profound effect on your brain. It's not just an emotional or spiritual challenge, it becomes a physiological one. When you experience ongoing stress, your brain shifts into a state known as survival mode. This mode is scientifically recognized as the activation of beta waves, the brain's natural response to danger, anxiety, and perceived threats. In survival mode, your mind enters a constant state of heightened alertness, ready to fight or flee at any moment. This heightened state is necessary when you're facing immediate threats, whether physical or emotional, but it's not designed to be a permanent condition. When you stay in survival mode for too long, it starts to take a toll. Stress hormones flood your body, and your nervous system remains in a state of high tension, constantly on edge. Anxiety becomes a constant companion, and your ability to relax, to find peace, becomes increasingly difficult. The pressure builds, and while you continue to move forward, it feels like you're running on empty, perpetually exhausted, with no relief in sight. The problem with being stuck in this mode, especially for those who are chosen and called to a higher purpose, is that it severely impacts your ability to connect with God. Survival mode, while designed to protect you, creates a barrier between you and the divine. The constant stress and the need to be in a heightened state of awareness keep you locked in a mental and emotional cage. When your brain is constantly running in beta mode, it becomes difficult, if not impossible, to hear the still, small voice of God. This state of constant alertness doesn't allow room for spiritual awareness. Instead of connecting with God, you're overwhelmed by your own thoughts, fears, and worries. Your mind races, filled with anxiety, and you begin to question everything. You wonder why things aren't moving faster, why the blessings seem delayed, and why you still feel disconnected despite all your efforts. In the chaos of survival mode, God's voice is often drowned out. It's hard to hear the whispers of divine guidance when the noise of your own anxiety is so loud. In these moments, it can feel like you're walking alone, struggling to find your way, trying to make sense of your purpose in the middle of the storm. The disconnect feels real, and you start to wonder if you're truly hearing from God at all. This is the spiritual battle of survival mode, a battle that many chosen ones face in silence. But here's the crucial truth. God doesn't speak in the chaos of survival. He speaks in the peace, the stillness, and the calm that exists beyond the noise of your fears. God's voice isn't found in the frantic hustle of your mind, running from one worry to the next. It's found in the quiet, in the moments of surrender, when your mind is at peace and open to divine revelation. God speaks not in beta, the frequency of survival, but in theta, the frequency of divine connection. Theta waves are the brain waves associated with deep relaxation, meditation, and intuitive insight. It is in this state that your spirit aligns with God's will and guidance. In theta, you are able to connect with your inner self, with your higher purpose, and with God's voice in a way that transcends the distractions of daily life. In this state, you hear God's direction clearly, and the path ahead becomes illuminated with clarity. The issue, however, is that after spending so much time in survival mode, your brain is often stuck in beta, unable to shift into the theta state where God speaks most clearly. This frequency mismatch creates a spiritual block that leaves you feeling disconnected, unsure, and lost. You know that you need divine guidance, but it's as though the channel is static and the message can't get through. The real challenge, then, is how to move from this survival mode, from the high beta state, into the peaceful theta state where divine revelation resides. The challenge is how to quiet the constant noise of stress, anxiety, and survival, and allow your spirit to be still enough to hear the whisper of God. It's not an easy task. After months or even years of living in a state of survival, your body and brain are accustomed to operating in high beta. Your nervous system is used to being on high alert, and the thought of slowing down or entering a state of relaxation can seem impossible. Yet, this shift is necessary for your spiritual growth and connection with God. You cannot continue to walk in your calling while being trapped in a state of constant anxiety and stress. You need to realign your frequency with peace, with divine connection, and with the still, small voice that God uses to guide you. This is where the breakthrough happens, when you learn how to shift your brain from survival mode into the state where God's guidance is most powerful and clear. So, how do you achieve this shift? How do you move from the chaos of survival mode to the peace of divine connection? The answer lies in tools like brainwave entrainment, which is a scientifically backed method of guiding your brain into the desired frequency. One such tool is the genius wave, a frequency technique that can help you realign your nervous system with the theta state. This method works by using specific sound waves to guide your brain into the theta frequency, bypassing the survival mode that has kept you stuck. It's not a quick fix or a magic pill, but it is a powerful tool to support your spiritual journey. When you use the Genius Wave, your brain is gently nudged out of the high beta state, shifting into the peaceful, intuitive theta state, where God speaks. Just 7 minutes a day is enough to begin seeing profound shifts in your ability to connect with God. The beauty of this tool is that it doesn't require hours of meditation or intense focus. It simply helps your brain return to the frequency where divine insight, clarity, and peace reside. This method can help clear the static and allow you to hear the transmission that heaven has been sending all along. As you embrace this tool and the process of shifting your frequency, you will begin to notice subtle changes. The anxiety will lessen, the stress will ease, and the connection you've been longing for will start to feel more attainable. You'll begin to feel a divine peace settle within you, and the clarity you've been seeking will finally come into focus. But this process is not just about listening to a frequency. It's about allowing your heart and mind to surrender to God's will, and to open yourself to the divine guidance that has always been available to you. It's about tuning your spirit to the frequency of peace, where God's wisdom flows freely. This shift isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a journey, and a commitment to remaining in alignment with God's divine purpose for your life. The Genius Wave, or any tool you choose to help you realign, is simply a means to facilitate that connection, to bring you back into divine harmony. As you continue on this path, you will discover that the divine revelation you've been seeking was always there, waiting for you to tune in to the right frequency. It's time to align your spirit, shift your brain, and open yourself to the divine peace that has always been available to you. Your connection to God is about to become clearer than ever before, and with it, your purpose will be fully revealed. The shift from survival mode to divine connection is not just a change in how you feel. It's a complete transformation of how you operate in the world. You've been living in a state where your mind is constantly on alert, where every challenge feels like a threat to your well-being, and every moment of peace seems fleeting. You've been walking through life with a heightened sense of awareness, always looking over your shoulder, always prepared for the next obstacle. But now, God is calling you to step out of that survival mode. He is inviting you to align your frequency with His divine peace so that you can move forward with clarity, purpose, and divine connection. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about thriving in the flow of God's guidance. Moving from survival mode into a state of divine connection requires intentionality. It's easy to stay stuck in the chaotic cycle of beta waves, where anxiety, fear, and stress rule your thoughts. But that's not where God wants you to remain. He desires you to move into the theta state, where you can hear His voice clearly, where you can access His wisdom, and where you can receive divine direction for the next steps of your journey. The first step is recognizing that survival mode is no longer serving you. It's kept you alert, it's kept you safe, but it has also kept you disconnected from the peace and clarity that comes from God. The emotional roller coaster of survival mode, feeling on edge, feeling overwhelmed, feeling burnt out, cannot sustain you in the long term. God is calling you to a place where peace reigns, where stillness is not something you fear, but something you embrace as the divine atmosphere in which you will find your answers. This transition is not an overnight process. It requires time, patience, and practice. One of the key ways to facilitate this transition is through the use of sound frequencies, specifically brainwave entrainment techniques. These tools are designed to help guide your brain into the desired state, making it easier for you to step out of the chaos of survival mode and into the peace of divine connection. The Genius Wave is one such tool, and it can help you retrain your brain to function in the theta state, where God speaks most clearly. The genius of this technique lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require you to force your mind to quiet or to spend hours in prayer. Instead, you listen, allowing the frequency to do the work for you. In just 7 minutes a day, you can begin to feel your nervous system calm, your mind clear, and your spirit realign with God's will. This is a tool that supports your spiritual journey, allowing you to connect with God without the overwhelming burden of your survival mode. It's important to understand that while tools like the Genius Wave can support your transition, the real power lies in your willingness to surrender to the process. This is not a one-time fix. It's a journey of learning to live in alignment with God's peace. As you start to shift from survival mode into divine connection, you'll begin to notice changes. You'll feel less anxious, less stressed, and more in tune with the rhythm of God's voice. The chaos that once defined your thoughts will begin to quiet, and the whispers of divine wisdom will become clearer. It's as if a veil has been lifted, and for the first time in a long while, you can see your path ahead with clarity. This shift is not just about a mental change. It's a spiritual transformation that impacts every area of your life. As your frequency aligns with God's, you will find that your purpose becomes more evident, your steps become more confident, and your heart becomes more at peace with the journey ahead. One of the most profound aspects of this shift is the ability to receive divine revelation. When you're trapped in survival mode, you can't hear the gentle whispers of God. Your mind is too focused on the stress, the survival instincts that dominate your thoughts, and the constant striving to make things happen. But in the theta state, when your brain is aligned with God's peace, you can hear His voice clearly. You will begin to receive divine insight that you may have been missing before. Suddenly, the answers you've been searching for will come effortlessly. Ideas that seemed confusing or impossible will begin to flow, and your next steps will be illuminated with clarity. This is the power of aligning your frequency with God's. When you quiet the noise and surrender to His peace, you open yourself up to receive everything that He has been waiting to give you. But even as you shift into divine connection, there are challenges that will arise. The enemy will try to keep you locked in survival mode, using anxiety and fear to pull you back into that high-stress state. You will face moments when it feels like your mind is racing again, when your worries return, and when your peace seems fleeting. This is the spiritual battle you must continue to fight. The challenge is to remain steadfast in your commitment to stay aligned with God's peace, even when the enemy tries to pull you back into chaos. It's easy to fall into the trap of survival mode when life gets hard, when you feel overwhelmed, or when the world seems to be against you. But the key is to remember that God's peace is always available. It's a matter of realigning your frequency with Him and trusting that He will carry you through every storm. This transition from survival mode to divine connection is about more than just stress relief. It's about opening yourself up to the fullness of what God has for you. It's about stepping into a state of peace that allows you to hear from Him clearly, to receive divine guidance, and to walk in your calling with confidence. It's a spiritual reawakening that will change the way you experience life. The tools available to help facilitate this shift, like the Genius Wave, are powerful, but they are just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you choose to make space for God's peace in your life. When you decide to move from survival to thriving, from chaos to calm, you open yourself up to the fullness of your divine purpose. The journey ahead is one of peace, purpose, and divine connection. And as you continue to align your frequency with God's, you will find that everything in your life begins to fall into place. The blessings you've been waiting for are already on their way, and the best part is that you will be able to receive them with an open heart, a clear mind, and a peaceful spirit. Think of it this way. If someone stole $100 from you, Shalom doesn't just return that $100. It goes beyond that. It brings you back 5-fold, 10-fold, even 100-fold. That's the kind of restoration you're about to experience. The losses you've endured, the pain you've walked through, the betrayals, the sacrifices, all of it will be restored to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. This is God's promise to you. It is not just about giving you back what was taken, it's about overpaying you for your suffering. The hardship was never meant to break you. It was meant to prepare you for the massive blessings that are now ready to manifest. Shalom isn't just about getting back what was lost. It's about God's law of restoration, which is far more generous than we often realize. When you've endured suffering with faith, when you've kept trusting, praying, and walking in your purpose despite the pain, God doesn't simply restore you in the same measure. No, He multiplies the blessing. He returns what was taken, but He does so with overwhelming abundance. You've sowed in tears, and now you are about to reap in joy. This is where many chosen ones stumble, because while they can endure the pain, they often don't understand the magnitude of the blessing that comes after. The truth is, when you're in the wilderness, when you're enduring trials, you can't always see the fruits of your labor. But in that time of testing, something deep within you is being refined. Something precious is being forged in the fire of hardship. God doesn't overlook any of your suffering. He has been keeping track of it all. Every tear you've shed, every moment of doubt you've overcome, every bit of strength you've summoned in your weakest moments, God has seen it, and He has recorded it. And now, the time has come for you to receive what He has prepared for you. But here's where it gets real. As much as God promises to restore and bless you abundantly, many chosen ones fear the very blessing that's on its way. You might feel a sense of dread or anxiety as you approach the door to your breakthrough. It's not because you don't want the blessing. It's because you're afraid of the weight it will bring. There is a hidden fear that arises when you know that your breakthrough is imminent. You may fear that the success, the abundance, and the responsibility that come with this blessing will overwhelm you. You may wonder if you'll be able to handle it, if you'll be able to keep your character intact, or if it will destroy the peace you've worked so hard to cultivate. The fear of failure, of not being able to handle the blessing, can feel suffocating at times. You may ask yourself, what if I'm not ready for what's coming? What if I lose myself in the process? These are valid concerns, but let me remind you of something powerful. You didn't endure the hardships, the refining fire, the seasons of silence, and the times of loneliness, only to be crushed by the weight of your blessing. No, the very process you've gone through has been preparing you to carry this blessing with grace, humility, and strength. God is not going to give you something that will destroy you. He has been strengthening you, equipping you, and refining your character so that you can steward this blessing well. The challenge is not whether you're ready for the blessing, but whether you believe you are ready. God has already prepared you. The test of endurance you've gone through, the invisibility test, and the furnace of refinement have all shaped you into a vessel capable of holding the greatness that is coming. The true test now is your ability to accept the blessing without letting it overwhelm you. Are you ready to handle the responsibility of what's to come? Are you ready to step into the fullness of your calling, to stand in the light of your success, and to embrace the weight of the responsibility that comes with it? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the moment when you must ask yourself the hard question. Am I ready to carry the blessing? And the answer, my friend, lies not in your ability to succeed on your own, but in your willingness to surrender it all to God. When you allow God to be the one who carries the weight of your blessing with you, you'll find that it doesn't crush you. Instead, it propels you forward into a new season of influence, peace, and purpose. The process of preparing for this blessing requires a shift in mindset. It's not about fearing the responsibility, but about trusting in God's provision. It's about acknowledging that this blessing is not just for you. It's for those around you, for your family, for your community, and for the kingdom of God. Your purpose is greater than just your personal success. The weight of the blessing you are about to receive is meant to be carried in service to others. It's meant to be shared, not hoarded. It's meant to lift others up, not just elevate you. As you step into this new season, you must remember that God has entrusted you with this blessing because He knows you will use it for His glory. It's not about you. It's about the impact you will have on the world around you. And God has already prepared you for this moment. The shalom is not just for your benefit, but for the expansion of His kingdom. Your ability to manage this blessing with wisdom, humility, and grace will determine the extent to which you can fulfill the calling He has placed on your life. The final question remains: are you ready to receive this blessing and not let it destroy you? It's a question that requires deep self-reflection and spiritual maturity. It's a question that challenges you to step into your destiny, fully prepared for what lies ahead. This is where the real test lies, not in the blessings themselves, but in how you handle them once they come. Can you steward them well? Can you remain humble in the face of success? Can you continue to serve others even when the spotlight shines on you? If you can answer yes to these questions, then you are ready. You are ready to receive your shalom. You are ready to step into a new season of divine favor and abundance. The trials you've endured have prepared you for this moment, and now it's time to claim the blessings that God has promised you. The hidden blessing is no longer hidden. It is here, and it is yours. But remember, this blessing comes with responsibility. It's a responsibility that will elevate you, grow you, and stretch you beyond what you thought possible. Embrace it, because it is the fulfillment of God's promise to you. The time of waiting is over. The time of receiving is here. You are ready for your shalom, and it's about to change everything. As you prepare to step into the fullness of what God has for you, it is crucial to understand that the shalom blessing is not just about personal gain or the elevation of your own life. It is much deeper, more significant, and far-reaching than that. While God is certainly blessing you, He is also preparing you to be a vessel for His greater purpose on the earth. The overflow from your shalom is meant to impact others, to change the lives of those around you, and to bring glory to God's kingdom. This is a time of great responsibility, but also of great opportunity. The weight of your blessing will stretch you, but it will also equip you to carry more, to do more, and to fulfill the divine purpose for which you were created. The shalom blessing is not just for you to consume or hold on to. It is meant to flow through you, to be shared, and to be used for God's glory. This is a pivotal moment in your life. As you walk into this new season, understand that the responsibilities of your calling are just as much a blessing as the successes themselves. The fear that many of us feel when we approach a great blessing, especially one as profound as the shalom, is not a fear of the blessing itself. It is a fear of what that blessing might demand from us. We fear that success might change us, that it might ruin the integrity of our character, or that it might lead us down a path we cannot return from. But this is a fear rooted in doubt, not in trust. God doesn't bless us to harm us. He blesses us to advance His kingdom, to grow our influence, and to make a lasting impact on the world. The challenge is not in receiving the blessing, but in being prepared to handle it with the same humility, integrity, and faithfulness that you demonstrated during the seasons of trial. You've already passed the hardest tests, the most intense moments of struggle, and the invisible seasons where you had to rely solely on God. Those trials have prepared you for this moment, but there is one final question that remains. Are you ready to handle this blessing without letting it destroy you? This is where your faith is tested, not by what you've endured, but by how you will handle the overwhelming abundance that is coming your way. The world teaches us to seek success, to chase after recognition and validation. But the kingdom of God operates differently. The blessing you are about to receive is meant to build you, not to break you. It is meant to strengthen your character, not to corrupt it. But it requires a shift in mindset, a shift from self-sufficiency to divine reliance. It requires the understanding that God is the source of everything you have and everything you are, and that success without Him is fleeting. As you prepare to receive this blessing, remember that it will come with a weight, a responsibility that only those who have been through the fire can bear. This is where your spiritual maturity will shine. Can you carry the shalom without letting it puff you up with pride? Can you stand in the midst of great success and not forget the journey that brought you here? Can you use the abundance you've received to serve others, to extend grace, and to further God's kingdom on earth? These are the true tests of your readiness. It's not just about your ability to handle wealth, fame, or influence. It's about how you will steward these things for the glory of God. This is the time when your faithfulness, your endurance, and your integrity will be truly revealed. Your shalom blessing is not just for your personal benefit. It's for the kingdom of God. It's for the people who will be impacted by your story, by your testimony, and by the life you live in service to others. Your blessing is a tool, a means to expand God's work on earth. And the question now is, how will you use it? Will you hold on to it selfishly, or will you allow it to flow freely to those around you? God is not giving you this blessing so you can hoard it for yourself. He is entrusting you with it because He knows you are capable of using it to bring others to Him. This is the true test. Can you handle the blessing with humility, understanding that it is a tool for service and for building the kingdom of God? As you approach this moment, there will undoubtedly be moments of fear, hesitation, and doubt. You may wonder if you're really ready for what God is about to bring into your life. But the truth is, you've been preparing for this your entire life. Every trial, every hardship, and every moment of perseverance has built the foundation that you stand on now. You've already shown that you can endure when the world didn't see you. Now it's time to prove that you can handle the visibility, the responsibility, and the abundance that come with the blessing of shalom. You are not being given this blessing because of anything you've done on your own. You are being given it because God trusts you to handle it. He trusts you to use it for His glory and for the benefit of those around you. The true measure of readiness is not found in your ability to receive the blessing. It is found in your willingness to surrender it all back to God. Are you ready to give it to Him? Are you ready to let Him guide you in how to use it, to steward it, and to share it? Your shalom is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. And the truth is, you are more than capable of carrying it. This is the moment when you must step into your destiny, knowing that God has equipped you for this very purpose. You are ready for this blessing, and you will carry it with grace, with humility, and with a deep sense of responsibility. The Shalom blessing is not just for your benefit. It is for the kingdom of God and for the lives that will be touched by your obedience and faithfulness. Now, more than ever, it's time to step into the fullness of what God has for you. The waiting is over. The preparation is complete. The Shalom is here, and you are ready to receive it, steward it, and share it with the world. Don't be afraid of the weight that comes with it. The very weight that once seemed like a burden will now be a sign of your calling. You are ready to carry it. You are ready for the blessings, and you are ready to use them to fulfill your divine purpose. Embrace the Shalom. Embrace the fullness of God's promises in your life. You've earned it. It's time to walk in it. As you stand on the cusp of receiving your Shalom blessing, there is an undeniable temptation that lies ahead: the urge to celebrate prematurely. After all, you've endured so much, sacrificed countless hours, and faced trials that have left you emotionally and physically drained. The thought of finally receiving a sign, a small breakthrough, or a partial manifestation of what you've been praying for feels like a victory. And in many ways, it is. But here's the truth. Celebrating too soon can be one of the greatest traps you can fall into. And it's a trap that the enemy loves to set for those who are on the verge of divine blessings. When you prematurely celebrate, when you start broadcasting your partial victories before they are fully realized, you risk sabotaging everything that God has been preparing for you. The enemy knows that the Shalom blessing is about to manifest in your life, and his strategy is simple. He will use the premature celebration of small wins to rob you of the full manifestation of your divine promise. This is a strategic move to distract you, to cause you to shift your focus from God's perfect timing to the praise of the moment. When you share too early, you allow negative energy, doubt, and jealousy to enter into your space. The enemy can use these subtle forces to diminish what God is doing in your life. It's a dangerous game to play, and many chosen ones fall into it unknowingly. You must learn to recognize this temptation and resist it if you are to fully walk into the blessings God has for you. The trap of premature celebration is often disguised as excitement. It feels natural to want to share your progress with the world, to let others see how far you've come, and to bask in the excitement of what's unfolding in your life. But this excitement can blind you to the fact that there is still work to be done. There is still a process of manifestation that must take place before the fullness of your blessing can be revealed. The enemy will encourage you to share your partial victories, to talk about your plans and dreams. But the reality is that doing so opens you up to spiritual attack. When you prematurely celebrate, you invite external forces into your sacred space. You allow others, who may not understand the depth of your journey or the weight of your calling, to speak into your process. And more often than not, these voices bring doubt, confusion, and negativity into your life, disrupting the divine flow that God has set in motion. Premature celebration creates an opening for the enemy to distract you, to make you lose sight of the bigger picture. It's a tactic designed to shift your focus from the full manifestation of God's promises to the fleeting approval of others. And the moment your focus shifts, the enemy can use that as an opportunity to derail you from what God has planned. This is where the wisdom of the three-circle rule comes into play. It's a principle that will help you protect your dreams, your vision, and your divine progress from the external noise and distractions that threaten to steal your blessing. The three-circle rule is about strategic silence, about knowing who to share your dreams and blessings with, and just as importantly, knowing who to keep at a distance. The first circle, the innermost circle, is reserved for God and those who are in full alignment with His will for your life. This is your inner circle. It's sacred. You share your deepest dreams, your most precious visions, and the divine blessings that are unfolding in your life only with those who truly support you and pray for you. These are the people who are spiritually in tune with you, who understand the weight of your calling, and who will cover you in prayer, wisdom, and encouragement. They are not there to validate your ego or to celebrate your every little step. Rather, they are there to help you remain grounded in God's truth, to speak into your life when you need guidance, and to provide the spiritual support necessary for you to navigate your journey. This inner circle is for those who are committed to seeing God's will manifest in your life, and they are the ones who will pray for you in private and cheer you on in the unseen moments, not for the accolades, but for the glory of God's work in your life. The second circle is your outer circle. These are the people you interact with daily: friends, acquaintances, social media followers, and those who are not deeply invested in your spiritual journey. While these individuals may offer their support in one form or another, they are not the ones who understand the full scope of your purpose, your dreams, or your divine calling. This outer circle can be full of well-meaning people who may even celebrate your small victories with you. But they don't have the spiritual maturity or depth to truly understand the magnitude of what you're about to receive. Sharing your dreams and partial blessings with them can lead to negative energy entering your space, criticism, jealousy, doubt, or even premature celebration that misrepresents the true nature of what God is doing in your life. These voices, though they may seem harmless, can shift your focus from God's timing to the fleeting applause of the world. It is essential to guard your heart and protect the sacredness of your journey by not allowing the outer circle to influence or derail you during this critical phase. The third circle is the most distant. This is the general public and the casual acquaintances who do not need to know about the intimate details of your spiritual walk. These are the people who are not spiritually aligned with you, and their perspectives are shaped by their own experiences and understanding. Sharing your dreams, blessings, or any part of your journey with these individuals only exposes you to judgment, misunderstanding, and, worst of all, the risk of having your blessing diminished by negative or envious energy. These are the people who may not understand why you need to stay silent, why you can't share every little success with the world. They might push you to celebrate before the time is right, or even criticize you for not showing off your achievements. But the truth is, you don't need to seek validation from anyone outside of God's will. This third circle is where your dreams remain sacred and protected. You only share the final result, the manifestation of your blessing, when it has fully come to pass, when you can walk in the light of what God has done without any hindrance from the opinions or energies of others. The three-circle rule is a principle of wisdom, discernment, and spiritual protection. It ensures that your journey remains undistracted, that you don't fall into the trap of seeking validation from others before your blessing has fully manifested. It keeps you grounded in the understanding that your calling is sacred and that the path you are walking is between you and God. The more you learn to practice this rule, the more you will see how vital it is to your spiritual growth and success. Your blessing is coming, and it's coming in its full, abundant form. But in order to receive it without sabotage, you must protect it. You must protect your peace, your vision, and the timing that God has set for you. When you keep your dreams sacred, share them only with those who support and cover you in prayer, and guard them from the distractions of the world. You are making a declaration that you trust God's timing and that you are willing to wait until the moment is right to step into the fullness of what He has promised. The key to this entire process is trust. Trust in God's timing and in His ability to bring about His promises when the time is right. As you move forward, let your results, your blessings, and your purpose make all the noise. Stay quiet about the process, protect your dreams, and continue to trust in the silence, knowing that the full manifestation of your blessing is on its way. You are preparing for something extraordinary, and when the time comes, the world will know. Until then, remain faithful, stay silent, and let God's divine timing unfold in your life. Your shalom is coming, and when it does, it will be more than enough to fulfill every promise He's made to you. As we come to the close of this journey, it is time for the final activation, the commissioning that will set you fully into your divine purpose. You have endured the refining fire, passed the tests, and prepared your spirit for what God has in store for you. Now, the moment of release has arrived. You are no longer bound by the waiting season, no longer in the preparation phase. The time has come for you to step into the fullness of your calling, to embrace the shalom blessings that have been held in reserve just for you. The doors that were once closed are now opening, and the divine manifestation you've prayed for is ready to come to fruition. You have been equipped, shaped, and molded through the trials to carry this weight of blessing with grace and responsibility. God is now releasing you into the purpose He has set before you, and you are ready to walk boldly in it. Through this prayer and affirmation, I seal the reality of your readiness. In the mighty name of God, I declare that you are prepared for the abundance that is about to flow into your life. Your spirit has been tested, and it is now refined, pure, and ready to receive the divine blessings. You are aligned with your higher calling, and the manifestations of your prayers are about to be released. The journey of preparation has been long, but it has led you to this moment, a moment of divine commissioning where you are set apart for a purpose greater than you could have ever imagined. As you step into the blessings that God has prepared for you, do so with confidence, knowing that you have already overcome the hardest battles. The final call is to embrace the silence and strategic invisibility as you prepare to steward your blessing with responsibility. You are now entrusted with an immense responsibility that comes with your divine success. The trials you have faced have equipped you to carry this weight, and you are now ready to walk in your divine purpose with integrity and humility. God has tested you in the fire, and now He is elevating you to a new level of authority and influence. The silence was necessary for your growth, but now it is time to shine and to use the blessings you receive for His glory.